Hello and welcome back to another episode of my weekly market overview. It's Bank Holiday Monday, the 4th of May 2026. Let's get straight into it. First and foremost, I like to take a quick look at the broader market and see how some of those assets are behaving, starting with none other than Bitcoin. So let's start with this one. Now, this one was stuck in a range for a long time. We talked about this in the last few videos. It was flat as a pancake. This was not any kind of trend whatsoever, but then it has been putting in consistent high highs and high lows. It is trending really nicely. So this is a very much a tradable asset at the minute. Bitcoin is finally, after such a long protracted period of sideways action. As I said in last week's video, and I've mentioned a few times, I'm unable to trade this at the minute because my broker doesn't allow it. I switched from an unregulated broker which allowed Bitcoin trading to a FCA regulated broker, which unfortunately doesn't have Bitcoin as a tradable asset. So yeah, I'm sitting out on this, but hopefully some of you are getting some really nice longs on this one. Now let's move on to the DXY, the dollar index. Now this one, the more you zoom out, the flatter it is. This range that it's been stuck in, you could argue it's been in since around April 2025. So over a year. But within it, if you look carefully, there are micro trends. So you have periods where you have high highs and high lows. You have periods where you have low lows and high highs. And this repeats itself. Every time it reaches the top of the range, it does put in lower lows and lower highs. And when it reaches the bottom of the range, it puts in high highs and high lows. So it is trending within this range. It's just stuck in a range. So I am trying to find those clean periods of trending within this range like we had here. And we've got this small period here where it was making lower lows and lower highs. But honestly, I've been struggling to piece together Forex trades because I look for divergence between the DXY and the other 6 or so major currencies. Divergence hasn't been as clean as what I've seen historically. So I've taken very, very few trades within the Forex market recently. I've had the odd one this year, but nowhere near as many as I had last year and the year before. So I like to keep a track of the DXY because at any given time with what's going on in the world, with the war, with Trump, it could start trending really nicely and get putting in consistent high highs and high lows, or lower lows and lower highs. That's what I'm just patiently waiting for. When that happens, when we see the divergence between DXY and one of the other major currencies, I execute. But for the minute, I'm just sitting on my hands with the DXY and waiting for it to put in some clean price action. A very quick look at gold. Now, we talked about this one quite a bit last week. This one, I'm struggling to get a read on this one. It is not behaving how you would expect gold to behave when times are as difficult as they are in the world at the minute. Gold is arguably one of the safest haven assets in the world. It's a store of value, but it's stuck between a rock and a hard place with how the dollar is behaving recently. So this isn't really trending that nicely. Just sticking to purely technicals, it has recently put in some nice price action. It made this change of character and it put in this big push to the upside at the end of March, but it has since failed to deliver on a trend. So it put in the high and it then didn't really do anything. It just went flat as a pancake. So we are currently stuck in this sideways range at the minute. I've got a feeling it could break to the downside, but I don't know until gold starts trending. I was hoping this was the beginning of a trend, but unfortunately it's not. Until this starts trending, again, we're just sitting out of gold and we'll just watch it play out. Oil is a big topic at the minute with what's going on in the world. So let's take a quick look at this one. Now, for me, I don't like this one. It's not tradable at the minute. If we zoom out, this is the structure that I see. I see this high low here and I see this high here. And this high was put in around early March 2026. It's tested it twice, 3 times, and hasn't really breached it, hasn't put in a new high. So for me, all of this qualifies as just a sideways mess. It's not tradable. So I'm just watching Brent Crude. And also it's worth mentioning, as I did in last week's video, that this is susceptible to the volatility because of what's going on in Iran and the Strait of Hormuz. You're getting some violent moves within Brent Crude. It's not trending, it's ranging and it's moving violently. It's not a tradable asset. Another one that I'm keeping away from. Next, the S&P 500. Now this asset was trending to the downside for the beginning of March, and then it put in this bullish change of character. It has made a high, and in fact, it hasn't really put in a high low. It's just been parabolic. It's made this huge move to the upside. This week, it rode the 20 moving average and then continued on its upward push. So we'll take a closer look at some of the stocks within the S&P 500 later in the video, but this is a fantastic move to the upside. NVidia is an asset that I have talked about quite a bit recently. It has been stuck in this sideways price action for a long time, probably from summer last year, July, August. It was pretty flat. It made a big push to the upside in around October last year, and then since then, again, it has just been flat. Now, what is worth mentioning is that this week just gone, it has put in this significant higher high. It's currently in a pullback. So is this the beginning of a new trend to the upside for NVIDIA? I'm not sure, but it's interesting because it has finally broken out of this massive range that I would say it was stuck in for a very long time. So NVIDIA is worth watching very closely. Next, a quick mention around Google. Google is another one that was trending to the downside. So we had this bearish change of character in early February this year. It made some lower lows and lower highs, and now it has put in this big push to the upside, this massive parabolic move. Hardly any pullbacks. It did kind of ride the 20 moving average for some time. I was looking for trades with Google stock, but unfortunately, I've just not been able to get into this one. There was an opportunity here around the 21st or the 22nd of April, but I missed it. And yeah, it's gone on without me. Next, a quick mention around Microsoft. Again, this is another asset that was ranging very much sideways until around end of November 2025. And then we got this nice downward trend where it's making consistent lower lows and lower highs. It has more recently broken to the upside and made a bullish change of character. We have got this high now. It is in somewhat of a pullback. It's a messy pullback. It's not really respected the 20 moving average. So it's not a fast moving trend, but it is pulling back. We'll see what we get. If we get a break to the upside, there might be some opportunities for Microsoft long positions. So I'll be keeping a close eye on this one. Amazon is one I want to just quickly mention. This is another asset that was stuck sideways from around July last year all the way through to, where are we, February this year. And then it did break to the downside. This looked like a trend to the downside, but even that didn't materialize. It just ranged. And then it's done this parabolic move to the upside, which started early April. Fantastic move. Not really had any opportunities to get back into this one, unfortunately. So yeah, I've been watching Amazon quite closely because it is one of the big players in the consumer discretionary sector, but unfortunately just not got an opportunity and some clean price action to get back into this parabolic move. Again, we'll keep a close eye on it. Tesla is a stock that I really like. I like the way it moves. If you look at this downtrend, this is beautiful. This is what I like to see. Consistent, clean, lower lows and lower highs. Really nice and clean textbook stuff. More recently, we got this bullish change of character, big push to the upside. We've had this pullback and there has been some long opportunities, which I'll get into in a later part of the video. Very quick mention with Netflix as well. We had this huge downtrend, reasonably clean, lower lows and lower highs. And then we had this big change of character, bullish change of character, big push to the upside, a pullback and a continuation. Since then, it's just flattened. It's, instead of continuing to the upside, it has made a bearish change of character. This price action here breached this higher low here, and now we are technically bearish structurally. So this is a mess, but I was excited for a minute around Netflix. I thought we were at the beginning of a potentially bullish trend, but unfortunately that hasn't worked out. So we'll just ignore this one and see if it turns into something in the future. Moving on to the next part of the video, I want to talk about the 4 trades that I have taken this week just gone. One of them in Tesla and 2 of them within the technology sector. Let's get straight into that, starting with none other than Tesla. So I briefly mentioned this one a little bit earlier. Let's take a closer look. So we saw this big push to the upside, which I mentioned in last week's video. We got this really nice pullback to the 20 moving average, and then we got some sideways price action. But within that, we got this really nice engulfing candle on Monday in which I entered a long position. Unfortunately, That trade didn't work out. It barely went into profit. I think I got triggered by a couple of ticks. Unfortunately, price hit full stop loss by Thursday market open, which was a shame. So we had a 1 hour loss on my first Tesla position. On Thursday, the market closed with this really nice engulfing candle. So for me, this was another opportunity to get back into a Tesla long, which I did. Unfortunately, my broker is connected, but not showing open positions, maybe because it's Bank Holiday Monday and they're doing some maintenance. But we're currently about 1 hour, just under 1 hour in profit, which is really nice. Job for tomorrow, when market opens, I'll be looking to drag the stop loss up around or just below break even, just to give it a little bit of breathing space. We currently have a floating profit on this one, which is really nice. I was looking for a long position on Tesla from around when this big push to the upside happened a week or so ago. So we did get the opportunity. We're currently in it. Let's see how it plays out. Next trade I want to talk about is Micron technology. Now, I've already talked about how the technology sector has gone parabolic, specifically with the S&P 500 being such an aggressive move. I was looking for stocks to try and get in on that big move, and Micron was one of them. So on Wednesday, we got the completion of this sideways price action. So we got this big push to the upside. It hadn't quite made a bullish change of character, but what had my attention with this trade was that this was 52-week highs and all-time highs. So I got the feeling that if we broke this level, which we did, this would move really nicely. So price pulled back early in the week and hovered around the 20 moving average. On Wednesday, we got this break of this high and we achieved all-time highs. And so I got in on a really nice long position, which is almost 2 hours in profit. Again, we're not showing open positions, which is a little bit annoying for this video. It would have been nice to see, but we are nearly 2 hour in profit. I've got a hard TP set at this level, and the stop loss has already been dragged up to break even. It's just above break even, I believe. I think it's just hovering above the 20 moving average. So this is locked in. Risk is off on this trade, and hopefully we achieve 2 hours on Micron technology. Fantastic trade. The fourth trade that I took this week, again, was capitalizing on the big push to the upside that we're seeing specifically within the technology sector, and it was in none other than AMD stock. So this was on Wednesday, close of market. I saw this pullback. It wasn't quite at the 20 moving average, but it was close enough. We've got this parabolic move going on, so I didn't want to miss out on this trade. So I entered a stop order just above the close of Wednesday market close. We are currently just over 1 hour floating profit on this one. Again, I've moved the stop loss up to break even on this trade as well. So we're locked in and risk is off, which is really nice, which is how I like to play it. And currently just waiting to see if we can achieve a full 2 hours on this one. So AMD is another fantastic trade. I wanted to quickly show Intel as well. This was one that I was watching because we had this huge push to the upside. I particularly liked the way that we had this flat as a pancake price action that went on for several weeks. And then we got this exponential parabolic move to the upside. Price went sideways and consolidated to the 20 moving average and then shot off again. Now I was hoping it would do something similar this week, and on Monday I was watching it, but we didn't get anything more of a substantial pullback. We just got one candle and then it continued. So for my rules, unfortunately, I was unable to get into Intel, but this is a fantastic move to the upside, just not one that I was able to capitalize on. I also wanted to show you Cisco. Cisco was an asset that I was watching from early in the week. It's very, very similar to AMD. And in fact, it did a better job of pulling back to the 20 moving average, which is something that I like to see. Now, this one put in a really nice entry candle. Again, Wednesday closed, and we got this really nice move to the upside. Now, it was a toss up between Cisco and AMD. I didn't want to be overexposed in the technology sector, obviously because we had the Micron trade already at play. I didn't want to have too many open positions within the technology sector. So it's a choice between Cisco and AMD. And if we look at the relative strength indicator, it clearly shows that Cisco is quite strong compared to the S&P 500. We've got an upward trend and we've got these green sections showing that this stock is outperforming the S&P 500. But if we look at the AMD version, I mean, this is much stronger, much cleaner, much more of a powerful statement compared to the Cisco version, which is a little bit more broken. So I decided to go with the AMD stock. That has turned out to be a nice trade. Moving on to the final section of the video, I wanted to take a quick look at the US sectors, starting with the technology sector. We won't spend too much time on this one because it's already been a running theme within this video, but we've got this huge parabolic move to the upside. If we look at the relative strength index, it's clearly outperforming the overall S&P 500, very strong at the minute. We've got a couple of positions open within the technology sector. So we are in the leading sector, looking at leading stocks. That's what I like to do. That's where we're at. Next, we have the communication sector. Now, this one has put in this parabolic move to the upside. It has made higher highs and a bullish change of character. We have had a pullback as well. Didn't quite respect the 20 moving average. It's breached beneath it, but it is continuing. But for me, this is underperforming the wider S&P 500. So for me, it's not really worth me looking for stocks within the communication sector at the minute, just because the sector as a whole is underperforming. Next, we take a quick look at the consumer discretionary sector. Now, this has made a big push to the upside and has pulled back. Didn't quite respect the 20 moving average, but it has continued to the upside. Now, obviously, leading stocks within this sector is Tesla, which we've talked about a couple of times in this video. We have a couple of open positions in Tesla. Full disclosure, it is not outperforming the overall S&P 500. I have a liking towards the Tesla stock. I like the way the price action is, but that is a little bit of a break of the rules. I shouldn't be in long positions on the Tesla stock. Until this sector starts outperforming the overall S&P 500, aside from the Tesla trade that I'm in at the minute, I won't be looking for any more trades within this sector. Consumer staples is worth a quick mention. For me, this is like a safe haven sector within the US stock market. And if the technology sector is booming as it is at the minute, then this is usually flat as a pancake. We can clearly see that. We have got this micro trend happening at the minute, but a lot of the stocks within this sector are quite slow moving. So not really a sector I really want to trade unless times are bad and this is the only one that's moving. We can clearly see it's underperforming the overall S&P 500. So we'll be leaving the consumer staples alone for the foreseeable future. The finance sector is another one that I'm watching. It did briefly start outperforming the overall S&P 500, as we clearly see here. It's quite a strong sector. It has flatlined a little bit, so we're waiting to see if we get a big push to the upside and we start seeing that strength coming in. But at the moment, it's not quite there. So yeah, this is a nice sector. We get some really nice stocks and some really nice moves within the sector, but at the minute, it's not delivering, so we'll sit out. Healthcare sector, very quickly, underperforming. It's making lower lows and lower highs. If anything, this is a sector that I might start looking at for potential short positions. There are a lot of stocks that are very, very underperforming within this sector. So potential shorts in here, but not a topic for this video that I want to delve into. Just wanted to show you how lackluster the healthcare sector is at the minute. The energy sector next. Now, this is a sector that served us really well last couple of months. We've got some really nice trades when this big push to the upside happened. Look at the outperformance of the overall S&P 500. Absolutely beautiful this was. It's currently done a substantial pullback and we are seeing some bullish price action. We're seeing this higher high. I'll be watching the energy sector very closely because I think with what's going on in the world, there might be some big pushes within this sector. So there are some stocks that I'm keeping a track of to see if they outperform the overall S&P 500. For example, if we look at BKR, this is one that's currently putting in high highs, all-time highs. It's a fantastic push to the upside. If we get pulled back, the energy sector, I think, might come into play. Here's another stock that is currently doing very strongly, putting in consistent higher highs and higher lows. SLB, it's kind of outperforming the S&P 500 as well. This is another reason why I think the energy sector might come into play soon. HAL is another one that's putting in all-time highs and consistent high highs. It's outperforming the S&P 500. So again, another reason to track the energy sector. And last but not least, Diamondback Energy is another one that I like. I really like the price action in this one. And more recently, it's putting this big push to the upside. Looks like it's about to start outperforming the overall S&P 500. So if we get some pullbacks, this is another one that I'm watching closely within the energy sector, because as I keep saying, I think the energy sector may come back into play over the next week or two, but we'll see. That's it for this week. we can clearly see the markets aren't moving nicely. Obviously, there is some markets that are very flat at the minute and ranging and range bound and not decided on any specific direction. But at the same time, there clearly are markets that are moving strongly and trending nicely. So just being very selective, being very careful, picking the best ones. So at the moment, we had that one loss from last week on Tesla, and then we've got 3 currently open positions with a floating profit, unrealized profit of around 3 or 4 hours at the minute. So yeah, overall, last week was a good week, aside from that one loss, which happens. We expect that. So yeah, it was a good week. I'm happy, and hopefully we realize the profits on those trades in the next few days, and yeah, see what next week brings. So I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for joining me.